Hi, this is Professor Kitch, and this is a short webcast on how to make a project schedule. There are a bunch of different tools for making project schedules. You can use Microsoft Excel, which is a spreadsheet, and it's hard to make a project with Microsoft Excel, but you can do it. Microsoft Projects is a program designed especially to do that, but it's pretty big and expensive and hard to use. And then there are a bunch of online tools to do that. Monday.com is one, but the one we're going to look at today is Smartsheet.com. And you're welcome to use this tool to develop your schedules, or if you'd rather find another one, you can do that too. This basic rules that I'm going to teach you here apply either way. So to use Smartsheet.com, the first thing you're going to have to do is create a Smartsheet account. So just go to Smartsheet.com, and if you click on the login button here, I already have a login, but you're going to have to come down here and click on doing the login, sign up, and you enter your email and click continue. It's going to send you a confirmation email like this that you can then use to set up your account. And then once you got your account set up, just log in, and it should just bring you to a home screen that looks like this. So to create my schedule, I'm going to come over here and click the create button, and then I'm going to select project off of that list because I'm going to create a project, and I'm going to give it a name. In this case, it's going to be the Connects Bridge project. Click OK, and then I'm going to open that project, and I'll see the project screen. And I have two parts of the project screen. On the left side over here is where all the tasks are going to be listed, and on the right side is where the schedule is actually going to be created. We don't actually change things on the right side too much. We just enter the task on the left side, and it automatically creates the schedule for us. So now all I need to do is enter all my tasks here on the right side. And for this project, remember that we have 2 weeks where there's a bunch of things due, and those are milestones really. So I'm going to remember that in week 5 we have a bunch of submittals due, and in week 7 is when the final project is done, and there's a bunch of submittals that week. And the way we create something that's a milestone and not a task is we just put its duration in as 0, and then that will be a milestone. Then I just need to have my list of tasks that I know that I'm going to do. And I remember from working on this project that we have to write a team agreement. And I'm just going to guess how long these things take. I think we can write our team agreement in 1 day. By default, this schedule's days, and we're just going to do everything by days. We're not going to do it by hours or anything like that. And then I also need to draft project schedule, which is what I'm actually doing right now, but I have to get that completed. I'm going to assume that we can get that done in 1 day too. Then once I've got that done, our team needs to determine the project goals. And once we determine the project goals, then we can brainstorm ideas. Once we have our ideas brainstormed, then we can build our first prototype for the bridge. And then once we build it, we can't build it first. First we have to design it. So let me put that first. We have to design our first prototype. And I realized I didn't put times for these, so it's only going to take us 1 day to determine our project goals. It should only take 1 day for the brainstorming. I'm going to assume that it only takes 1 day I'm going to assume that it's going to take 2 days to build the prototype, but only 1 day to design it. And I got these kind of out of order. I don't like that, so I'm going to slide this one up here. If I can do that right. There we go. Design, then build. And after I design and build it, then I can test the first prototype. That's only going to take a day. Then obviously after that, it probably isn't going to work right, so we're going to have to redesign. Assume that's going to take, and then we're going to have to build the second prototype. Again, I'm assuming that's going to take 2 days, and then we're going to have to test second prototype. That's only going to take a day. And then from that, I'm assuming that we're only going to need 2 of these, and then we can do our final design. That's only going to take a day. Then we're going to have to build the final design. I'm assuming that's going to take 2 days. We can test our final design. It's only going to take 1 day. I also know that we have to prepare a presentation. That's probably going to take 3 days. And we also have to prepare the report. I think that's going to take 3 days too. And then we have to keep our daily log book. That's just going to run the whole duration, so I'm not going to put days in that. I'll fix that later. So now I have all my tasks that I think I need in there, and then the next step is just to start scheduling them. So to do the scheduling, what I have to do is to tell Smartsheet how these tasks are linked together and then give some start dates. So I'm going to start with the stuff we have to do at the very beginning. And I remember the week 5 submittals are to do the team agreement and to draft the project schedule. So I'm going to come out here for the week 5 schedule, and here in predecessors, so predecessors are something that has to come before, so I'm going to tell Smartsheet that this task, week 5 schedules, needs to be preceded by the team agreement and drafting the project schedule. So I'm just going to say right here, I can open up this editing button and tell it that row number 3, which is a team agreement, is a predecessor, and that row number 4 is a predecessor, and click OK. And then that's going to link these 2 tasks to this milestone. And then I'm just going to tell it when we're going to start the team agreement. I'm going to say I'm going to start that here on Monday. So that's going to start on the 16th. I'm going to start drafting the project schedule. Maybe I'll start that on Tuesday. And then you'll see that those 2 are now linked to the week 5 submittals, and they're automatically tells you when that can be done. Okay, from there, I'm just going to keep going here. I realize that before I start brainstorming ideas that I'm going to have to determine the project goals. And so if you can see the row numbers for the predecessors right in here, you can just type them in. You don't have to actually open up that window. So I can tell that this row number 6 is going to have to be preceded by row number 5, and that designing the first prototype, I can't do that until I brainstorm the ideas. So that's going to be preceded by row 6, and the prototype will be preceded by row 7, and the testing the prototype will be preceded by row 8, and then after that I can redesign, so that'll be preceded by row 9. And none of these are appearing in the schedule yet because I haven't scheduled anything. But if I say I'm going to start determining the project goals, let's say we start doing that on Wednesday, then the rest of these tasks all just get scheduled out because they're all dependent upon one another. So I can keep going from there. After the redesign, I'm going to build a second prototype, so it's preceded by 10, which is a redesign, and the second prototype testing will be preceded by row 11, and the final design is going to be preceded by row 12, and then building it is preceded by row 13, and then the testing is preceded by row 14. Okay, so that's all of those tasks, but these tasks are all linked up to the final submittals, which is the week 7 submittals. So I know week 7 submittals include preparing doing the final test, testing the final design, so that's row 15, and also the presentation, the report, so that's 16 and 17. And so all those are predecessors for this, and so I just need to put some start dates for the presentation. So I don't know what day I'm going to start them, but let's say I'm going to start them on the 2nd, and let's say I start this one on the 4th, and now I have all my tasks scheduled except for this one, which is keep the daily logbook, and that's going to run the whole duration. So I'm not going to tie that to anything. I'm just going to say that's going to start on the 16th and it's going to end out here on October 6th, because I know that's what I'm supposed to be done is October 9th. So that one's not tied to anything, it's just something I have to do the whole time. So now I have my schedule. I'm going to do a couple things just to make it kind of clean it up here some. I'm going to drag this milestone down here to in between these other tasks because it looks a little nicer. In fact, I'm going to drag it up one more. So above here I have all the tasks I got to do to build and design and everything, and at the bottom I've got the reporting tasks I have to do, and all these things have to be done in order to get to this final milestone. You can see how it's all linked up there. So that's all well and good, and I now have a schedule. If you look at this schedule, you'll see days that are grayed out and then days that are white, and you see here every Saturday and Sunday is grayed out and the white days aren't. And the white days are the days that you work, and the gray days are days that the program thinks that you're not working. And you notice that it automatically takes care of these non-work days. For instance, build prototype here is a 2-day duration, but it takes up 4 calendar days because there's only 2 working days, Friday and Monday in this case. However, I know that's not the way my team's going to work. I know we're going to be working some of the weekends. So I can come over here to this gear button and I can edit some of the project settings. And what I'm going to go do for this in particular is come to the working days and make sure my working days are set up. So let's see, I've talked to my team, and we're definitely going to work on Saturdays, but we figured out that we really can't work on Wednesdays and Thursdays because our schedules don't line up. So the days that are available to work are Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. I'm going to click OK on that. I'm going to click OK on this. And now notice that the schedule has been redone for me based on these work days that I put in. But now I've got a problem here because I'm getting to my final milestone is now I'm not going to get to the 11th, but it's actually due on Wednesday the 9th. So now I got a problem. I've got to figure out how to change the schedule so that I can actually get down to the 9th. Otherwise, I'm not going to get done on time. So I'm going to come back. I'd probably sit down with my team and talk about how to do this. But I'm going to make some assumptions here. I'm going to come back to my final design and say, I think by the time we get to the final design, it's not going to be that much work. And maybe we could do that in only one day. And that does a pretty good job. That gets my project done on the 8th, which is the day before it's actually due, in order to turn it all in. Now, it could be that I'm a little worried about that, and I'm afraid if we don't get it done that day, we might be late. So I'm going to add in a new time called a project called float. And by float, I just mean time that it's extra time that we have. And I'd really like, 2 days of float before the final project is due so that I got some extra time just in case. So in order to put the float in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make all the things that are due on the final project actually make them predecessors for the float, and then make the float the predecessor for the final project. So I'm going to have to edit this somewhat. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to say the week 7 submittals were 14, 16, and 17. So I'm going to make them predecessors for that, and then I'm going to change the final project predecessors so that it is just 19, which is the float. And then I'm going to move the float up to here so it looks a little nicer. Okay, now I have my 2 days of extra time in there just for things I'm not sure what will happen. But again, I got a problem now because now my project's 2 days late. So I've got to decide what else I'm going to do. So when looking at my project to save time, I'm coming back here and I'm going to look at these 2 tasks, determine project goals and brainstorm ideas. And I think I could do those both at the same time. I bet our team could get together, do those both the same day. So I'm going to edit this predecessor for brainstorm ideas. I'm going to have to click the pencil icon here to do that, and I'm going to change the type of predecessor. Right now it's set up to a finish to start predecessor, which is the normal one. In other words, this task is going to start when the previous one is finished. But if I want to do them at the same time, I'm going to change that to a start to start. In other words, I'm going to say we're going to start these 2 tasks at the same time. So I'm going to click OK on that, click OK on that, and that helps. See, these 2 tasks are now starting together, and that took 1 day off my schedule, but I still need to get another day off my schedule. So I'm going to look down here. I think, this build prototype 2 and test prototype 2, this one's 2 days, but I bet we could get that down to 1 day. So I'm going to change that to 1 day. And now that helped a lot, and I now have this task down with an extra day in it before my float. But my float still didn't move, and I'm still pushing this task out. But now I see that's because it's driven by this prepare report. So if I'm going to move this back a day, I'm going to have to change the report. So I'm just going to drag the report back here and start it earlier. And if I do that, I'll see that now I'm in good shape, because my final submittal here for week 7 is now finished on the 8th, which is the day before it's due, which is good. So I have it all ready to turn in on the 9th. And the very last thing I'm going to do, I've got a good schedule, but the very last thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag this time back on the daily log so it just runs the full duration of the schedule. And now I have my project schedule for my Connects bridge. I hope this helped you learn how to do schedules on Smartsheet, and I hope it's a good tool you can use for your project. Have fun.